Brother Kadash, giving all praises to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim Kadash. Bear with me, I just left the gym, but there was some things that, of course, that I've been meditating on in the spirit, So my whole thing, like with the Bible, from being in the truth for about end of 2017, so 7 years and a half, you know what I mean? So this is what I learned about the Bible. I done seen many different doctrines. I done seen many different camps split and different teachings, you know what I mean? But this is what I learned about the Bible, and this is what's very important. This is like the most important thing, You have to know that this is all based on faith, right? It kind of gets to me when I see guys acting like if they could prove anything for a fact or for facts. You can't. You must say, and you must have to admit that this is all based on faith. So when we deal with things like the Old Testament versus the New Testament, there's arguments for there being corruption in the New Testament, for sure. And there's even arguments for there being corruption and errors in the Old Testament, right? But we got to understand that this is all based on faith. So even if you go to the Old Testament and you see something where it says, thus say God, or thus say the Lord, or Yahweh, it's a difference from believing in something and knowing something. I done made countless of videos about this, right? So let's just say if there's a passage in the book of Isaiah that says, thus say God. Well, it still comes, you still have to believe. This is what it comes down to. You still have to believe that Isaiah is telling the truth when he says, thus say Yahweh, or thus say God. You still have to believe in Isaiah, because there's no difference if I went and wrote something. It said, thus say the Lord, and then wrote whatever I wanted to write. You may say, well, who are you? Well, the moment you say, who are you? Now we're getting down to who's the person that's writing, who's the author. And it comes back to you have to believe in that author. That's why there's no difference from believing Isaiah and his scribes writing down something and saying the Lord said something, or the New Testament author writing something down and saying that the Lord said something. It's no difference, because you were not there to hear the Lord say something, which, we always believe the Bible is inspired by God. Now, it's a difference from if Yahweh himself came down and said something to Isaiah and you were there to witness it. At that point, it's no longer belief, because what you seen, what you heard. You don't have to take Isaiah's word for it. So if none of us is there to hear, to confirm that when Isaiah writes, thus saith the Lord, if none of us was there to confirm that that's true, then it all comes back to we have to believe in Isaiah when he says, thus saith the Lord. It's not the Lord writing, thus saith the Lord. It's a person, a man writing, thus saith the Lord. You see what I'm saying? So this brings me to, it all goes back to belief. You have to believe in Isaiah when he says, thus saith the Lord. You have to believe the same thing with the New Testament authors. You got to believe in them when they say it. It all comes down to believe. You can say you don't believe in them, and then you can say you do believe in these ones. But just because you're saying you believe in the Old Testament authors don't mean that it's better than the New Testament authors. That's just what you choose to believe. And that's what it all comes down to, is belief. Because this is Revelation 18. Let's break it down. Verse 1. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven. So that's deep right there, because in the Old Testament, angels also, like Jacob wrestled with an angel. His name was changed to Israel. Depending on your breakdown of, when Moses went up to the mountain and the burning bush, it was an angel. Or some people would say the light by day and the cloud by night was an angel that was leading Israel, right? So in the Old Testament, you see many examples of where angel would be the messenger of Yahweh, will deliver a message from Yahweh. So what is the difference if an angel delivers a message in the New Testament from God? What's the difference? Right? It's still an angel. So can angels deliver messages on the behalf of God? Yes. We see that in the Old Testament. We see that in the New Testament. What gives the Old Testament more weight than it's saying in the Old Testament? So that's my thing. This all comes down to belief. We can't act like, we can't go to the Old Testament when it says, thus saith the Lord, and say, oh, that's a fact. We don't know if that's a fact. What we can say is we believe that it's a fact because it's coming from Isaiah. We believe that it's a fact because it's coming from Jeremiah. Same thing with the New Testament. We believe that this is a fact because it's coming from Matthew. We believe that it's a fact because it's coming from Apostle Paul or it's coming from Peter. It all comes down to belief. You can't prove nothing for a fact. You see what I'm saying? So let's keep going. So having great power in the earth was lighting up with his glory. So we already said, it's a real thing. We believe that angels could deliver a message from Yahweh, right? And he cried with a mighty and strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and it's become a habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations had drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth had committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her deliciousities. So this is what I believe in, right? It's called prophecy. So if we see this prophecy happen, then we got to give credit to Revelations 18 where it says it. But, it may say it also in the Old Testament, but that don't take away from where it says in the New Testament. They both get credit. And it says, for all nations had drunk of the wine. And then even you today being a prophet, because us today, what are we doing? We're just reciting the prophecies of the Bible, but we still gonna get credit for it when it happens. You see what I'm saying? So if the Lord deems that, but it says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not her plague. So you might say, well, the voice could have been anything, but see, this is the thing, right? So if you ask a person to prove where God is speaking in the New Testament and they go to this, now the weight is on you to prove that it's not coming from God. You could laugh at it and say, well, it's just a voice from heaven. Okay, well, is it possible that a voice from heaven could be God? Well, the answer is yes. Of course it's possible. So now you got to prove that it's not. But look, this is the thing. Let's keep going, right? Because we giving you context. So when you look up the word in Bible Blue Book, which I'm about to go to it, right? So the context is, an angel came down from heaven and cried with a mighty strong voice. So why wouldn't I assume that the mighty strong voice, this is an educated assumption, that the mighty strong voice is the same as the voice in verse 4 that came from heaven, right? The angel came down from heaven, verse 2, a mighty strong voice, verse 4, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, so we will believe that either two things, it's just another angel, or it's Yahweh voice, or some would say Yahweh Shai voice. But either way, all three of those things, it all relates back to the Lord, because we will believe that Yahweh Shai is a messenger of Yahweh. We will believe that an angel is a messenger of Yahweh. It all leads back to God, right? So if it's Yahweh Shai speaking from the heavens, or if it's an angel, Michael the archangel speaking from the heavens, it's still God speaking from the heavens, because they're bringing his message from the heavens, right? Who else is going to be speaking from the heavens in this context? Who else? So it relates to God, but let's keep going, get more context, right? Saying, come out of her, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people. So who's in the heavens? Because we don't believe in any other gods are real. So it's only Yahweh, right? So who else is saying to the children of Israel and calling the children of Israel my people? That's God. So if I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that's literally God speaking in the New Testament. I heard another voice saying, come out of her, my people. What's the difference from John the Revelator saying in his own way that God is speaking, saying, come out of my people, and Isaiah saying, thus saith the Lord? There's no difference, because you still have to believe that it happened, because you don't know. Isaiah could be lying. Just like I could go right now, I could go write a book, I could write a whole book and publish it, and I could put thus saith the Lord in there 1,000 times and then write whatever I want to write. You see what I'm saying? You say, who am I? You could say, who is anybody then at that point, right? So you have to say, well, I believe in it because I believe that Isaiah is a prophet. And then other people would counter and say, well, I believe in John the Revelator because I believe that he's a prophet. He was making prophecies that some of them came true already, and some of them we about to see come true. So was John the Revelator, was he a prophet? Yes, he was a prophet because he prophesied. Give you one right now. He prophesied about World War II. I believe that's in like mid-Revelation. I used to know it exactly by heart, but you know, you got to just keep working and you would get it back. But he also prophesied Esau dropping the bombs on Japan, calling fire out the sky. He also prophesied about that, and that actually happened. So that makes John the Revelator a prophet. So let's keep going. Verse 5, for her sins have reached up into heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. Right? So that's verse 5. That gives you more context. So we got context before, we're saying it's an angel and a voice. Then we got context after, which says, for her sins have reached up into heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. Right? So let's go to Bible Blue Book just to get some of the words. Okay, here we go. So this is the Strong's, right? So let's look even deeper into the context. So Revelations 18:1, where it says angel, right? Because you could say, well, who is that speaking? From the voice from heaven. Or you could say in Revelation 1, who is the angel that came down? That could be anything. That could be a demon, right? So this is all we got, right? Because, you know, people will bring up and say there's a Hebrew version of Matthew's that speak different. You say, well, we ain't got that. Okay, so then let's go off what we got, right? A messenger, especially an angel, right? It also says a pastor, angel, messenger. Bible usage. A messenger, envy, one who is sent, an angel, a messenger from God. It says, so I mean, it says a messenger from God. We only believe in one God, so it's Yahweh, a messenger from Yahweh, right? So if this messenger from Yahweh is coming, right, then that's the same thing as Yahweh speaking, because this messenger is speaking is the angel of his presence. This messenger is speaking for God. So now, we can move the goalpost and we can say, okay, let me go back. We can move the goalpost and we can say, well, we don't believe in messengers. We don't believe in angels or messengers. You have to show me where it's directly from God, that God said this. Even though Yahweh did not say, well, it depends on the context and it depends on what precept that you speaking. I ain't gonna go and say that Yahweh did not speak at all to Isaiah, because I have to study that up a little bit more. But in a lot of those contexts where it says, thus say the Lord, it was not Yahweh speaking directly to Isaiah. It was an angel speaking to him, or him being inspired by the Lord, and then them writing, thus say the Lord. Right? So let's keep going. Revelations 18 verse 5, because I want to get where it says, for her sins have reached into heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. Right? Right here where it says God. We getting the Strongs for it. So let's keep going down. You know, and this ain't no bullshit. This is right in front of you, showing you, right? So this says a deity, especially the supreme divinity, right? I just want to get, it says exceedingly God. Let's keep going. I'm just jumping around. Yeah, this is what I want. A god or goddess, a general name of deities or divinities. The Godhead, it says Trinity, right? And then it says God the Father, Christ, Holy Spirit, spoken of the only and true God. So this is also in the definition. Spoken of the only and true God, right? So we don't believe in the Trinity. We don't believe in no goddess. So, but it's just giving you the breakdown of what this word God means. So I'm not going to say in the New Testament, right, that if anything was speaking that had power like that, it's from God, because God controls everything. God also controls Satan. So no, it's not going to be, we can't just guess that the voice, when it says in verse 4, that could be anything. That could just be a demon that's speaking. Hey, if a demon was speaking that, then God sent that demon to speak that, because God controls everything. Yahweh controls everything. Like, just imagine saying, I'm going to go back to it, but I want to get a little bit on it. Just imagine saying, well, when it says in Revelations 4, Revelations 18 and 5, and it says, and God or a voice from heaven said, that could be anything. Just imagine saying that. Well, it don't matter what it was. If whatever that was given that prophecy that is true and that's real, that's going to happen, it came from Yahweh. So you can't even use that as a scapegoat. But if we breaking it down, it also it says right here, spoken of the only and true God. Who's the only and true God? Yahweh. That solves it. That's what the word, when it says in the context of Revelations, let's go back. Revelations 18:5. For her sins have reached into heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. When it says that, it's talking about the only and true one God, and that's Yahweh, and it says spoken of him. So they don't have to say thus say the Lord or thus say the God. That's proving it right there. That's Yahweh. That's God speaking in the New Testament without a doubt. Because look at, let's go back to it again, man. You could say you don't believe it, you could say you don't accept it, but a person could use this and say, hey, this is what it is. Liken it to God or resemble him in any way. God's representative, right? At the end of the day, if it's an angel, that's God's representative. Even if it's a demon, that could be God's representative. Like Satan could come as a God could control Satan. Because remember, even in the Old Testament, who controls good and evil? God. If there's evil in a city, that's in Amos 3. Who God has done it. You know what I mean? And Isaiah, yeah, who controls good and evil? Who controls dark and light? That's God. So even if Satan come, he could come as a representative of God. He could come as a representative to do evil to you. And that's of God that's sending him to do those things to you. So, I mean, to me, it's clear. You know, somebody else could say something else. I'll be open to hear it. But to me, it's just clear. It's God. It's of God in the New Testament. I mean, what do you say? What do you think and what do you say? I mean, we got context, Revelations 18:1, an angel coming down from heaven. We got in Revelations 18:4, whatever voice it is coming from heaven is saying, come out of her, my people, telling Israel to come out of Babylon, which is a great thing, which is a prophecy, right? Which is also goes back to the commandments and goes back to the Old Testament. And then in verse 5, we got it saying that, look, for her sins have reached up into that same heaven that the angel is coming down from, and God has remembered her iniquities. And when we go to the definition, when we go to the Strong's of this word God, it says spoken of the only and true God. With that, I'm going to say salvation to you, like shalom.